Hello everyone, this is Cookies, and it looks like we've got another turn of the second round of Lucid's tournament in the second game. Alright, let's go ahead and hop in. So we've got a new... No, they've claimed the Golden Throne. Good grief. Can I talk? So now Agartha is going to be aware of what they missed out on. Probably sad. Alright, we've got a battle in Esquania. Just a small little raid. The barbarian chief is running ahead. This is so much stuff. A much bigger contingent of barbarians in the front now. Imp pets. Oh, that's funny. Okay. Mostly crossbows are going to friendly fire so much here. Okay. So, loses one devil. Oh, it was barbarian PD, so it was fine. Okay. And then it's, we've got Blue Beauty. And going back underwater, trying to take out these tritons. I think the tritons just won again. Nope, that was close. How are these fights so close? Alright, so the tritons stay on the field again. He's got them down to 5. And then he goes ahead and marches on Pyrene. So here we've got, I guess like 3 divisions of cavalry. Left flank, kind of like a left center, and the right flank. We've got a center of footmen. In the rear, we've got more, I guess, like spearmen and footmen, some man-at-arms and crossbows. I'm not seeing as many mages, I think, as last turn when he pinged. And here we have the wardens covering the left flank, tower guard covering the center and right. Let's see, in at least 2 rows everywhere. And then we got 5 rows of crossbows, a few Bakemono, and a few tower knights on the far left flank. The boar is on the right. Oh, as a really quick reminder, here's the bless for Pyrene. And of course the boar is unblessed. Does have some earth gems. He's going to do Curse of Stones, it looks like. And importantly, I think he got hit by an imp. No, he did cast it. All right. Now the boar, really quick, one more time. The boar hasn't gone through his whole buff cycle, which I think is a very important change. So they might actually kill it. Fended off the charge on the left. Charge on the right, though. It was far closer than I thought it would be. Alright, so man ends up winning this. Give me 1 second. Alright, so man ends up winning this, but takes egregious casualties. 2 Lord Wardens, a Magister, 4 Magisters Arcane, his Thrice-Horned Boar, 1/3 of his crossbows, almost all the Tower Guard, all the Tower Knights, just about, and half of the Lord Wardens. But he does break Pyrene. So he kills 48 of the 60 Cambion Knights. I don't know that the other troops matter. Kills 5 of 7 Cambion Counts, the Cambion King. One of the Pyrene Priests kills the PD dump. Ooh. Now, I will say, so generally speaking, when you're going to cast Curse of Stones, you wanted to cast it as soon as possible so that enemy troops take the fatigue as they run across the field. Once they've run across the field, they're not going to take the fatigue from it as much, only when they're moving around. So I agree, Curse of Stones should have been the first thing. The positioning of the boar, though, I don't know if it just got shunted out to the side. But this was a little bit of a disaster because as he was fatigued out after casting Curse of Stones, some imps hit him and they berserked him, so he probably never got to finish his buff script. Oh, it was right there. He got hit by an arrow. Alright, so it wasn't the imp like I thought. It was just a crossbow bolt. But, I mean, this was a very important piece of the puzzle between these two armies, because Cambion Knights had nothing to say about this Thrice-Horned Boar, as long as he had stuff like Mistform and Iron Skin and Temper Flesh on. You know, personal regen, all that good stuff. Now, he wasn't going to be able to get all 4 of those that I just said, because he did do Summon Earth Power and Curse of Stones, so he's probably going to skip one. Oh, it would have been Iron Skin. So, pretty disappointing for him. He does have a Mistform caster. But, as is common in Dominion 6, they don't target HP, like the squares by HP, as reliably as they did in Dominions 5. So, Mistform doesn't actually get put on the boar. It gets put on random troops. Like random ass tower guard. This is not what you wanted. Ideally, it would go on the boar, then it would go on the mage. The mage did do himself, but he never did the boar. So, a little bit of... It's going to be annoying for him, because he did have the Mistform caster here, just in case something like that happened. And the casting AI changes between Dominions 5 and Dominions 6 really kind of screwed him here, in terms of something must have changed with target priority casting, because it didn't evaluate 144 HP, it evaluated 33 HP as being more important, which I would be pretty upset about, because it got his Pretender killed. And the Pretender was probably also an important piece in trying to dom kill Pyrene. And then, and because the Pretender died, this whole flank got overwhelmed by the Cambion Knights, and they were riding down the line, which, as we know from history, is an oh so common way to get to lose all of your infantry. While this line was holding firm because it had all the wardens there. So it had a very high impact on the battle that almost lost me in the battle. Just this guy not casting Mistform on the right square, and then probably the rest of the buff cycle getting interrupted on the Thrice-Horned Boar by a random crossbow. Which, if he had cast Mistform on the correct square to start with, might not have done any damage. Or hopefully not. So, yeah, this is a very high impact battle. Now, that means that Gartha, assuming he stayed in that farmland, might have the option of trying to knock Man off the capital. So here's I guess the Butcher's bill from this fight. So you can see just how strong decent Sacreds are against regular Scales troops. But let's go ahead and go through the remaining battles really quick. So we've got Agartha attacking Independence in the whole bunch of Blind Fighters, Cave Knights, the mixed bag of crossbows. Probably trying to min-max recruitment points and resources, while just keeping numbers up. Loses one Cave Knight. Then Calum goes ahead and attacks Satis. Got a little raid. But it's going to have to kill these commanders. But because Satis has more than 20 PD, he ends up fending off the raid. So he had 2 commanders here. Then in Oun, taking on this Necromancer on his 4. a little necromancer having the gall to think he was better than Kaka, who has 8 death. Alright. So slaughters that, loses 10 Raven Guard, that's fine. And then man attacks Kayla. We've got a Bakemono squad coming in. Maybe this was something they agreed to. Interesting. And then Raylothia. We've got a Blood Hunter. These at least show up in my messages. It's got a couple of bodyguards. Again, this just happens in low Dominion, so as this Dominion improves, it won't happen. Alright. So, yeah, Agartha clears out this cave. I still think it would be amazing if they picked up Cavern Realm, just to kind of hide this fort here. And then... yeah, and then man's going to want to build a fort here at some point. We see the Grey Enchantress, so he gets his first one out. But they are glamored, so I don't think Marignon's able to see that Grey Enchantress. We just can because of our spies. And I believe it's just because of our spies. So... alright, so if we jump up to the surface... alright, so man is on top of Pyrene. Almost, I guarantee Agartha saw that battle. Man might... I mean, they've got a lot of troops in the area, so if they're able to consolidate everything on Pyrene, that would work. This raid, though... maybe... I don't know if it's him not acknowledging Calum owns this area, but we do see a big Calum army here. I think it's going for the Throne of Error. But I don't know. Maybe they talked about it. Do have more troops on the way. He's going to have to hire a lot of priests very quickly to get the boar back. And he's also going to want to get some Shamblers underwater again. All these troops in these 2 forts does seem a little aggressive. Remember, Marignon can sail. So, does make me wonder if Marignon might try to attack man. But I think Marignon's still busy with Cetis, so I think it's just troops building up in forts. Alright. So he's in down here. But I mean, this is a tremendous amount of stuff, and the dragon's back. So I think he's understandably very cautious. Ooh, Plague Doctor gets patrolled out. Let's take a quick look at this guy. Oh, he's trying to plague the capital. Interesting. And then a scout gets patrolled out. I wonder if... no, they attacked because we saw it in the messages screen. That's the low Dominion province. You can see it's only got 4 candles. I think when you get like 5 or 6 candles, that stops happening. Alright. Calum's going to go for the throne, so we should get a little entertainment at least next turn. Don't know if Marignon's going to feel brave enough to go on Cetis. But he might feel brave enough to try and go for this side fort here. And then Sitis will have a choice of whether or not he wants to defend it, because he's up to 56 PD now on the cap. So there is a chance he might just let this fort go so he doesn't lose his PD dump. I mean, this is pretty smart by Marignon. He forked the 2 forts with his army. Sitis can only be in one place. So now Sitis has to guess where Marignon's going to go. So Sitis can try to defend this, or he can try to defend the capital. Marignon could look like he's attacking this fort and then go for the capital, or he could actually attack the fort. So pretty nice. Man's gonna need to rapidly rebuild his army if he wants to keep Agartha at bay and get his pretender back. Is the Dracolich back? I'm not seeing it. I think if you find indie priests, you just set that province to repeat rec on priests until you can get your pretender back. He is constructing a fort here. There's a on the throne of bureaucracy. Okay. And building the fort on the steel ovens. Here, I'm a little bit surprised we didn't get any raids from Tianchi on Patala lands. It looks like he's just reinforcing the capital siege. I don't think you want to wait too long, though, because I mean, you've got other stuff in the area that might try to vulture. Like these cave knights. So I think all this stuff here should go ahead and roll into Bogatin. Like, you can't be that scared of PD. You expanded through essentially the same stuff. So go ahead and get in there and knock out the PD. Does have more. These troops are probably meant for the siege. It's a bunch of crossbows. But yeah, start getting through here. I would have split stuff off from the capital to go take care of this really quick. And now I'm hoping he doesn't bump with Agartha, and because Agartha is being greedy or something. Alright. But yeah, Man has now caught up to Tianchi in terms of having a second cap under siege. We'll see how those sieges go. Marignon is the laggard of the first 3 wars, as he does not have Sitis under siege yet, but he may be getting close. There's a lot of troops that could be heading towards the front lines, though. So we'll see what happens there. And then Calum's going to go for a throne. Agartha seems to be scaling and vulturing to grow to a tremendous size. And then Atlantis still needs to take care of his bogus problem. But it would also be good for Atlantis, I think, to go get a second throne, probably the Weald. I think this would be a great throne for him to have. He could very easily defend it, and it'd provide another connection to Cerulean Sea. Can he use gnomes? Not as familiar with the Mage Core. Probably. I don't think he's got any glamour. Yeah, so it would break him into glamour. And gnomes are great because they can make both glamour boosters. You probably just have to do one glamour and power. And it might break him into nature too. Yeah, so gnomes would be incredible. So probably a good idea if he could get an army up here to go take care of that. This whole army that's sitting in this fort could be heading up there and doing that. And I do think that would be worthwhile, unless he's traded both these thrones away. But go ahead and go get it. Alright. So I think that's it for this one. If and when, if we get an opportunity where all the first wars have ended, I might, if I remember, and assuming they all kind of end around the same time and we don't have second wars start up, it might be cool to try and go through and count provinces for all the nations to see who did better. The people who went cave spelunking and picked up thrones and vultured a bit were the people who actually fought first wars and took all that attrition. So I am interested, a little bit interested in seeing who fared better, because we've got 3 first wars and we've got 3 nations that kind of did the scaling tall bit and added a little bit of vulturing. So if we get that opportunity, where there's kind of like peace globally, I think that would be fun. But yeah, I think that's it for this turn, and I will go ahead and see you guys in the next one. Have a good one.